Dearest Diary, my elders bought you for me on my 15th birthday. As you know, I'm 16 now, and I have been writing in you ever since. You have been with me through the good and bad, and now you will accompany me through my nation's journey to the Indian reservations far from home. It's May 16, 1839, and the forcible eviction of the Cherokees has begun. Due to white man Andrew Jackson's Indian removal policy, I'm scared, and so is my family, even my brave, courageous father, Lone Wolf, who is the chief leader of my clan. None of us know what's going to happen and when the white men will come for us to force us out. All I know is that I've never witnessed injustice as cruel as this. How do these white men think they can wipe us out of our home where we have been for countless generations? We are Native Americans, not barbarians, that deserve to be pushed around. Lone Wolf has told me about the eviction of many other Native American nations. Even violence and war has broken out, and between other Native tribes and American troops when forcing them on their way. The American troops are under white man Winfield Scott, who supports the brutal Georgia Guard. I pray violence doesn't reach the Cherokees, but I bet it will. We are too strong of a people to be controlled like puppets. I pray to the spirits even more that they protect and keep my family safe. My dear, sweet baby sister Leela, my beautiful, loving mother, my courageous father, and my best friend Chayton, who I'm blessed to have as a brother to me. I hope he stays by my side through it all. Dearest Diary, I'm sorry it's been a few days since I've last written, but about 5 days ago the white men came. They were the first ones I've ever seen. I couldn't help but stare. They were so different and strange. Some had light blue eyes of ice, which made me want to run and hide. They stormed through our land and looted our homes. They took everything that was valuable. They then arrested many and dragged us out. My grandfather, being the strong, stubborn man he is, didn't move, and a white man held a gun to his face. I was too in shock to cry out. Eventually, Grandfather surrendered, and we were all taken to dark, filthy forts. They were like rat-infested prisons with no food, water, or warmth. The forts were located in Rattlesnake Spring near the Cherokee Agency in Tennessee. The Cherokees were forced to stay there until 4 days ago when we started our journey to the reservations. The white government has broken their promise to not force us off our land and to be peaceful and fair. The white men have been the opposite. So far we have been walking without rest and barely any water or food. Leela keeps crying, and my elders are trying to stay strong. Chayton is just angry. I feel like he is about to burst any minute. This part about Chayton makes me feel protected by him though. Sometimes I get lucky being the chief's daughter, and I get to ride one of our clan's horses that came along with my sister and mother. This is so much better than walking another mile on my aching feet. But I have to go now. We have just found and shot a buffalo, and I don't know the next time I'll get to another meal. I'm starving. Dearest Diary, the journey gets worse and worse every day. So many Cherokees have died. Many elderly people couldn't stand the exhaustion or discomfort anymore. I see people falling dead every day. I don't know whether to stop and mourn or just keep going. Grandfather gets weaker and weaker every day. Leela has been crying so much. Mother thinks she might be sick, but there's nothing we can do. Lone Wolf tries to boost our morale and encourage us to keep our heads up and keep going. But even he is faking it and losing hope. Chayton keeps talking about wanting to fight. When I think about what has happened, I couldn't agree more with him. I miss home. I miss my warm blankets and my warm hut. I miss Mother's fish and meat dinner. I miss playing with Leela and smiling with Chayton. This is all unfair. How is this happening? I ought to just sit down and refuse to move. Father told me he's heard of a white man named John Ross. He's on our side, sticking up for our rights. I can't even picture a white man that is not cruel or treats us like animals. John Ross has tried to get us citizenship to the white country, but the American government refused. Maybe it really is hopeless. Dearest Diary, we are now heading out of Rattlesnake Spring into Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Our past journey was a continuous struggle. I've never been so cold. We are trying our best to stay close for warmth. Our food is running low, and we haven't had a place to sleep for hours. Some friends and neighbors were left behind, while sudden illnesses and disease started spreading through our tribe, most of which were caused from the extreme weather conditions. We got lucky if we were able to start fires for the warm air, and if we could sleep in the wagons. My younger sister Leela came down with whooping cough, which has caused so much hassle. My mother now has to take extra care of her, feeding to her needs while still protecting herself and others from this contagious disease. If it continues to spread to the rest of us, we will be in for a great deal of disaster and death. To top this all off, we were continuing our journey towards our next destination when the white American army came about again to monitor our route. With all the pushing and shoving, frustration started to come into the picture. Chayton just became so tired of the orders and power these whites felt they had over us, so he pushed a white out of his way. He pushed Chayton back, so Chayton threw a punch. This started a whole riot between the white army and our tribe members. The fighting didn't last very long, but it still somehow happened to leave many injured from both sides. Luckily, none of my close neighbors and no one from my family suffered from too much pain or injury, except for Chayton, who got a few kicks and punches thrown at him. We need to get out of this place and continue on if we expect to make it to the reservation safely. Dearest Diary, today Leela passed on. I am so upset that it's impossible to think about anything else. We were headed to the crossing of Ohio, which is northwest of the confluence of the Tennessee River. Leela was getting weaker and weaker by these horrible conditions we've been living in. I knew it was going to happen soon, but the reality of it all has put me into shock. Our family and friends stopped on the trail and had a ceremony for her. We danced and prayed and then buried her. Chayton was right beside me the whole time and kept me strong. All of a sudden, these white men came over and started yelling and pushing us for not continuing on. I do not understand how they can be so cruel. Do they have no heart? As they dragged me away, I said my last goodbyes to my sister. My loved ones are dying and we've had no sleep or food. The days are getting longer and I'm becoming exhausted. I know that we will get through this. My hope and pride will never die. Will this torture ever end? What has my tribe done to deserve these horrible things? Dearest Diary, today we got up at dawn to continue on the trail. We are currently crossing Ohio and heading southwest towards Mississippi across the Ozark Plateau. We are all starting to get restless now, but Lone Wolf told us we are getting close to the Oklahoma territories. That will be where we will live. However, it will never be a home. We have been unfairly stripped of our culture, and our whole life has been taken from us. We will still have our traditions and ceremonies, but with a great loss of Cherokee members. I wonder how the Americans would react if they were in our place. I know they wouldn't be happy either, yet they continue not to care about our food shortages and rapidly rising death count, and overall the death of our nation itself. They treat us as if we're merely animals, not people, too insignificant to be talked to with respect, and instead get yelled at and insulted. It is evident settlers here don't want us traveling their routes. They yell cruel words and spit at us, and I even heard of them making some clans completely switch trails so they were not a bother to them. I'm thankful my clan is still tightly together. Chayton and his family have been traveling alongside mine, and he's been able to reassure me. I don't know what I would do without him. I just want to arrive in Oklahoma. I want everything to be as close as possible to how it was, absorbed in our cultures contained in our tight-knit communities. I want this all to end. Dearest Diary, we made it. This long, disastrous journey has finally come to an end. Lone Wolf called all of our clans together today when we arrived in Oklahoma. He said we are still one nation, strong and determined to rebuild our lives, and that we will recover and prosper here, and that the Cherokees have a bright future in Oklahoma. Later that night, he arranged a ceremony where we mourned the losses of loved ones and celebrated all of those who made it here to carry on our culture. It's been so relieving to vent my feelings to you through this difficult period of my life. I've been able to keep myself more focused on helping as much as possible and focusing on reaching our final destination. It will be a while before I talk to you again, as these next few months will be tough, having to rebuild our lives from the ground up. Until then, Maya.